In the heart of Viridian Forest, a new life is born beneath the emerald canopy. Morning light filters through the leaves in gentle rays, speckling the forest floor with golden patches of warmth. The air is fresh and filled with the quiet chorus of pidgey cooing and butterfree fluttering their delicate wings. Within the shelter of an ancient mossy log lies a tiny newborn Pokémon, a Pichu, curled up against its mother's soft fur. The mother Pikachu watches over her baby with kind, vigilant eyes, her yellow coat blending with the dappled sunlight as she nuzzles the little one lovingly. From its first moments, the baby Pichu is surrounded by the comforting scents and sounds of the forest. It blinks its large, glossy eyes slowly, gazing in wonder at the dancing dust motes illuminated by the morning sun. The Pichu's tail is short and jagged, not yet the lightning bolt shape it will someday grow into, and its red cheeks spark faintly with static as it lets out a tiny squeak of contentment. The mother Pikachu responds with a gentle purr-like chirp, wrapping her tail around the baby to keep it safe and warm. In this tranquil cradle of nature, Pichu feels completely secure. As the day begins, other forest dwellers start their routines. A caterpie inches along a dew-laden leaf above, while a pair of oddish toddle through the underbrush below, their round blue bodies half hidden among the clover. The mother Pikachu peers out from the log, ears twitching at the rustle of the grass. Sensing no danger, she steps into the open, encouraging her child to follow. The Pichu tumbles out of the log on unsteady legs, its tiny paws touching soil and leaves for the first time. It sniffs the cool morning air, picking up the sweet scent of wildflowers and the earthy aroma of damp wood. Everything is new and fascinating. Pichu chirps excitedly and scampers a few steps away from the log, drawn toward a shaft of sunlight. The golden light feels warm on its yellow fur. The baby Pokémon tries to chase a butterfly that drifts past its nose, stumbling clumsily over a tree root. But the mother Pikachu is always close by. She nudges her little one back on its feet and guides it gently, showing where ripe oran berries can be found on a low bush nearby. Pichu sniffs at a plump berry and takes a bite, the tangy sweet juice making it wiggle its ears in delight. The mother's eyes shine with affectionate pride as she watches her child experience these first joys of life in the wild. Day turns to afternoon, and under the caring watch of its mother, Pichu grows bolder. It plays among the ferns and fallen leaves, batting at tiny insects that hop in the grass. When a breeze sweeps through the treetops, sending a rain of petals down from flowering buds above, the Pichu jumps and tries to catch them, its giggles echoing like bells in the quiet woods. Each new sound, the distant bubbling of a stream, the chatter of a centret peeking out from behind a stump, draws the young Pokémon's curious eyes. The forest is not just its home, it is its playground, classroom, and sanctuary all at once. As dusk approaches, the light softens to a gentle amber glow. The mother Pikachu leads Pichu back to the safety of their cozy hollow as the chorus of Krikatote begins to sing in the dimming light. Tucked against his mother's warm body, Pichu lets out a tiny yawn. The first day draws to a close with the forest settling into calm. In the snug darkness of the hollow log, Mother Pikachu licks her baby's fur clean of the day's adventures. Pichu sighs in drowsy happiness, feeling the steady rise and fall of his mother's breathing. Outside, fireflies blink in the twilight, and somewhere far off, a hoot-hoot calls out softly. Surrounded by the gentle heartbeat of the forest, the little Pichu drifts into contented sleep, safe in his mother's care as the stars wink into existence overhead. The days turn into weeks, and the little Pichu grows steadily under his mother's watchful care. By now, he can venture further from the nest on his own tiny adventures, always with the reassuring crackle of his mother's electricity nearby to guide him back. One sunny afternoon, Pichu finds himself in a sun-dappled clearing not far from the log he calls home. Here the grass is soft and dotted with wildflowers of yellow and blue. Butterflies dance above the blooms, and Pichu can't resist the urge to join their play. He chases them in clumsy circles, tripping over his own feet and tumbling into the fragrant clover with squeaks of laughter. Each time he falls, he bounces up again, fearless and full of joy. Under the shade of a broad oak, the mother Pikachu sits and keeps a vigilant eye on her curious child. She munches on a roast berry, her cheeks occasionally sparking to make sure the berry is nicely toasted before she shares pieces of it with Pichu. He scampers back to her side every so often, proudly presenting a pretty leaf or an oddly shaped acorn he found, like treasures from his exploration. The mother accepts each gift with an amused glint in her eyes, giving Pichu an encouraging pat. With each passing day, Pichu's confidence and sense of wonder continue to bloom. In this green haven, Pichu begins to make his first friends. A caterpie that often crawls along low branches comes to recognize the playful electric type and inches closer whenever Pichu is around. At first, Pichu watches the shy caterpie nibble on leaves, fascinated by the little insect Pokémon's bright green color and the antennae bobbing on its head. Gathering courage, Pichu approaches slowly and offers a half-eaten berry in greeting. The caterpie's large eyes shine as it accepts the treat, and soon the two are playing a gentle game of chase around the trunk of a tree. Mother Pikachu relaxes seeing her child learning to socialize, her tail swishing contentedly as she listens to their cheerful squeals. Not every lesson in the forest is gentle, however. One breezy morning, Pichu wanders a bit farther, happily chasing a floating dandelion puff. Suddenly, a rustling in the brush makes him freeze. From under a bush slithers an Ekans, its purple scales glinting in a shaft of light. The snake Pokémon flicks its tongue, having caught the scent of something new and vulnerable. Pichu's heart skips a beat. He has never seen such a creature before, and instinctively his fur stands on end. Tiny sparks jump from his cheeks in alarm as the Ekans draws nearer, but before Pichu can even cry out, a flash of yellow bolts between them, Mother Pikachu has arrived. With a fierce glare and a crackling arc of electricity, the Pikachu mama warns the Ekans to stay back. The serpent recoils, hissing, the static energy tickling its scales. Not wanting a fight with an adult Pikachu, Ekans slowly retreats into the undergrowth, disappearing as quickly as it came. Pichu trembles from the scare, but his mother nuzzles him soothingly, checking him over for any harm. Finding him safe, she gives a soft, chiding chirp, reminding him not to stray too far. Chastened but still curious, Pichu snuggles into his mother's warm fur for a moment, feeling her rapid heartbeat gradually calm. He has learned an important lesson. The forest holds dangers as well as wonders, and he must be cautious. Safe once more, Pichu returns to his play under his mother's careful gaze. As the sun begins to lower, casting long, gentle shadows across the clearing, Pichu and his caterpie friend sit side by side atop a flat rock. They watch as a family of Poliwag splash in a distant pond and giggle when a cluster of Bellsprout perform a slow, swaying dance while absorbing the last rays of sunlight. These peaceful moments fill Pichu's tiny heart with contentment. Surrounded by friends and protected by his loving mother, he feels that the Viridian Forest is the whole world, a safe, magical world from which he never wants to stray. Summer settles over Viridian Forest, bringing warmer days and lush growth. Pichu has grown a little stronger and more adventurous with each passing sun. He and his mother wander further together now, the mother Pikachu teaching the youngster the hidden paths between towering oak and cedar trees and the best spots to find sweet berries. The air is humid and filled with the drone of Ladybug wings and the distant caw of Spearow perched high in the canopy. On most days, the forest feels calm and endless, a green world just for them. But as the season deepens, the weather begins to change. Dark clouds occasionally gather on the horizon, and the rumble of thunder in the distance hints at summer storms soon to come. One afternoon, the sky that was bright blue in the morning turns an eerie shade of gray-green. The wind dies to an unsettling stillness. Pichu looks up at the canopy, seeing the leaves cease their rustling. Birds fall silent. Even the ever-chirping cricketot hush. His mother's ears twitch with unease, and she hurriedly urges Pichu back toward their familiar nest hollow. Fat raindrops begin to patter on the leaves overhead, lightly at first, then all at once in a heavy downpour. The sudden rain soaks Pichu's golden fur flat and obscures the forest in curtains of gray. He sticks close to his mother's side, heart pounding at the unfamiliar chaos unfolding around him. Lightning flashes, bright and fierce, followed by a crack of thunder that shakes the ground. Pichu flinches and squeals, frightened by the sky's anger. His cheeks instinctively spark in response, tiny bolts of his own electricity escaping into the air. The mother Pikachu leads him under a thick clump of roots at the base of an old tree, a temporary shelter from the deluge. She curls around Pichu, both of them shivering as wind howls through the branches above. Through the driving rain, Pichu peers out and sees the forest transformed. Trees bending under the gale, leaves ripped free and flying, blinding forks of lightning illuminating sheets of rain in stark white. Suddenly, a tremendous crack echoes through the woods. A bolt of lightning strikes a nearby tree with explosive force, splitting the trunk. The great tree begins to topple. The ground trembles as the massive oak crashes down, sending splinters and branches everywhere. In a flash, Mother Pikachu grabs Pichu by the scruff and leaps, trying to get them clear of the falling debris. They barely escape the worst of it. A heavy branch smashes into the ground just behind them. But as they land in the muddy clearing, a wave of water and uprooted brush surges between mother and child. Pichu tumbles through churned-up leaves and mud, losing his grip on his mother's fur. He cries out in terror, a high-pitched "Pee!" lost in the roar of the storm. A flash flood of rainwater, suddenly released by the downpour, is coursing through a low gully in the forest floor. Pichu slides helplessly into the swift current, the cold water sweeping him away from the only safety he's ever known. Desperately, he paddles his little paws, but the stream is too strong for such a small creature. Gasping and sputtering, he is carried deeper into the dark forest, away from his mother's frantic calls. For a few harrowing minutes, Pichu is at the mercy of the raging storm. Thunder booms, and the swollen stream rushes him along, twisting and turning. He manages to cling to a piece of driftwood, a broken log tossed into the flood, which keeps him afloat as he is swept downstream. Clutching the wood with tiny claws, Pichu trembles, soaked and terrified. Through the sheets of rain, he can just make out the silhouette of his mother far behind on the bank, racing along trying to follow. Another bend in the stream, and she is lost from sight behind walls of water and bramble. Pichu's plaintive cries are drowned out by the storm. He is truly on his own. At last, after what feels like an eternity to the tiny Pokémon, the ground levels out and the flash flood disperses into a wider, shallow pool. The current slows enough that Pichu is able to scramble off the log and stumble onto solid ground. He collapses under a bush, sides heaving as he coughs up swallowed water. The rain still pours, but the worst of the storm is moving on. With ears ringing from the thunder and body aching, Pichu tries to stand. His first thought is of his mother. Where is she? Did she escape the falling tree? Is she looking for him even now? Lightning flickers in the distance, and in its brief light, Pichu sees nothing but unfamiliar trees and rocks around him. This part of the forest is completely strange to his eyes. When the rain finally begins to lessen, the forest is left dripping and quiet, as if in shock. Pichu staggers through the debris, calling out weakly for his mother with soft whimpers. "P, Pichu. But there is no answering call, only the drip of water from leaf to leaf. The stream that carried him here now trickles harmlessly, as if it cannot believe the destruction it wrought moments ago. All around are signs of the storm's fury, puddles reflecting a dull, cloudy sky and scattered branches torn down by the wind. The air smells of wet earth and ozone from the lightning strikes. Cold, exhausted, and very much alone, the little Pichu finally curls up at the base of a soggy tree. He is too tired to continue searching tonight. His tiny body quakes from both the chill and the sorrow coursing through him. Never before has he spent a moment apart from his mother, and now, suddenly, she is nowhere to be found. As night falls, the storm's clouds begin to part, revealing a few twinkling stars. Pichu gazes up at them with blurred eyes, a single forlorn whine escaping his throat. The forest around him is dark and unfamiliar, transformed by the violent tempest. Overwhelmed by fatigue and heartbreak, Pichu closes his eyes, tears mingling with rainwater on his cheeks. He drifts into a restless sleep, alone under the weeping forest canopy, as the last distant thunder echoes like the sad rumble of a giant's farewell. Night has fallen in the Viridian forest, wrapping the trees in a hush of deep blue shadow. Beneath a broad fern, the little Pichu awakens, disoriented and alone. The last thing he remembers is crying himself to sleep under a storm-ravaged tree. But now the rain has stopped. The forest is dark and dripping, and a cool mist clings to the ground like a ghostly veil. Pichu's fur is still damp, and his body aches from the ordeal. He lifts his head and calls out softly into the darkness, a hopeful whimper for his mother. Pichu. Only silence answers, broken by the distant hoot of an owl Pokémon and the gentle patter of water dripping from leaves. The realization sinks in like a stone in a pond. He is truly all by himself. For a long moment, Pichu simply stays huddled where he is, ears flat with fear and loneliness. The night is alive with unfamiliar sounds now that he has no warm body next to him for comfort. In the canopy above, leaves rustle with the movements of nocturnal Pokémon beginning their routines. Pichu hears the low croak of a politoad by a distant pond and the scurry of a ratata through the underbrush. Every snap of a twig makes him flinch. He sniffs the air, catching a whiff of smoke from where lightning struck a tree, mingled with the damp fern smell. The scents trigger memories of his mother's fur and their cozy nest, and a wave of grief washes over the tiny Pokémon. He hiccups a quiet sob, tiny sparks crackling from his cheeks in distress. Yet even in this darkness, the forest offers small comforts to its weary child. Through a break in the clouds, the moon emerges, silver and gentle. Moonbeams filter down, illuminating a narrow trail between the bushes. Mustering courage, Pichu decides to follow this faint path. If he stays in one place, he might never find his mother or anyone else. The wet grass brushes against his legs as he trudges forward, shivering but determined. Above, the stars seem to twinkle encouragingly between the treetops. As his eyes adjust, the darkness becomes slightly less intimidating. He can make out the silhouettes of tree trunks and the soft glow of mushrooms clumping on a fallen log. Each step is hesitant, but with each step, he also feels a tiny spark of resolve. He survived the storm. He can survive the night. Pichu pushes through a curtain of ferns and finds himself in a small clearing bathed in pale moonlight. Here, the mist swirls gently around clumps of luminous moss, giving the place an ethereal glow. Suddenly, a cluster of small lights bob into view. For a heart-stopping second, Pichu tenses. Are those eyes watching him? But as they draw nearer, he sees they are Volbeat and Illumise, firefly-like Pokémon dancing slowly through the air. Their tails blink with golden light as they weave patterns above the clearing. Pichu watches, mesmerized. The sight is oddly comforting. The gentle lights remind him of evenings chasing Butterfree under the stars, safe with his mother. He steps into the open, and one of the Illumise flutters down, hovering curiously before him. It tilts its tiny head and chirps, its tail casting a warm glow over Pichu for a moment, as if to say, "You are not alone tonight." With a faint smile, Pichu musters a quiet "pie" in greeting. The courage it took to venture out is rewarded with this little moment of wonder. The Illumise soon rejoins its glowing companions, and they drift off into the darkness like floating lanterns. Pichu's heart feels just a bit lighter. He finds a sheltered spot under an ancient oak where the ground is blanketed in soft moss. Curling up there, he finally allows himself to rest properly. Above him, the moon continues its slow arc across the sky, watched over by countless stars. In his dreams, Pichu imagines he is back in the nest with his mother and friends, all snuggled together. A tiny grin remains on his face, even as a lone tear dries on his cheek. Hours pass, and the night quietly gives way to early dawn. The first bird songs of morning stir Pichu from slumber. The sky to the east turns from black to deep indigo, then to a cool gray, and finally, a gentle pink. Morning light returns to Viridian Forest, revealing a world washed clean by the storm. Pichu blinks awake to the dewy glow of sunrise. He feels the ache of yesterday's loss still in his chest, but there is also a new feeling, hope. Perhaps today he will find someone, if not his mother, then a friend, in this vast forest. He takes a deep breath of the crisp morning air, tasting its hint of sweetness. With the daylight guiding him, the little Pichu summons his courage once more and sets off through the trees, determined to see what the new day will bring. By late morning, sunlight filters down in gentle beams as Pichu ventures through a quieter part of the forest. The world after the storm feels renewed. Drops of water glitter on every leaf and petal, and the warm light carries the promise of better days. Pichu's stomach rumbles. He hasn't eaten since before the storm. Sniffing the air, he catches the fruity aroma of berries and follows it, hopeful. The scent leads him to a cluster of bushes bearing plump pink pecha berries hidden under broad leaves. Eagerly, Pichu reaches up on tiptoe and manages to bat a low-hanging berry to the ground. He bites into its tender flesh, sweet juice dribbling down his chin. The taste fills him with comfort and energy. For the first time since the previous day's chaos, his ears perk up with a hint of optimism. Maybe he can find a way to be happy here, even alone. As Pichu gathers a few more berries, he senses a gentle gaze upon him. From behind a nearby fern, two round eyes watch the little electric type. It's a Caterpie, perhaps the same one he played with days ago near his old nest, though Pichu doesn't realize it yet. To the Caterpie, the tiny yellow creature before it looks sad and a bit bedraggled, not as carefree as when it last saw him. Summoning its courage, the Caterpie inches out into the open and gives a tentative hello with a soft "pree" sound. Pichu jumps slightly at the sound and turns around, half expecting some threat, but instead he sees the small green caterpillar Pokémon looking up at him with concern and curiosity. Relief and joy well up in Pichu's chest. It's another living being, and it doesn't seem threatening at all. "Pichu," he squeaks in greeting, his eyes lighting up. Remembering his manners, Pichu picks up one of the ripe berries he collected and waddles toward Caterpie, offering it as a friendly gesture. Caterpie's eyes gleam happily as it accepts the gift, nibbling on the berry's soft flesh. The two Pokémon regard each other with innocent fascination. Though they cannot speak in words, their actions convey plenty. Pichu chirps and motions with his tiny arms as if to say, "Come play." Caterpie, delighted to have company, bobs its antennae and crawls after Pichu as he leads the way. Soon the duo are playing in the sunlit glade as if they've always been friends. Pichu shows Caterpie how he can slide down a curved tree root like a little slide, and Caterpie demonstrates how it can hang upside down from a low branch using the suction cups on its feet. Pichu giggles as Caterpie swings down and lands gently on his head, the tickle of many little feet prompting a playful squeal. They chase each other around tree trunks and through bushes, pausing now and then to peek at a passing ladybug or to marvel at a viliplume slowly lumbering by, its huge red flower emitting a sweet, calming fragrance. With each passing minute, Pichu's loneliness and fear melt away, replaced by the simple delight of having a friend by his side. As midday passes, the new companions come upon a shallow, crystal-clear pond fed by the rains. The water's surface shimmers like glass, reflecting the bright blue sky and fluffy white clouds above. Pichu scampers to the water's edge and peers in, seeing his own reflection for perhaps the first time. A small, yellow face with big amber eyes stares back. Caterpie inches up beside him, and he sees her reflection too, a tiny green shape next to his. It makes him smile. On impulse, Pichu taps the water with his paw, sending ripples through the mirror image. Caterpie responds by shooting a thin strand of silk into the air playfully, which catches the sunlight like a glistening ribbon. Pichu claps his paws in delight, and the two of them settle by the pond for a well-earned rest, drinking the fresh water and basking in the afternoon sun. In the companionship of Caterpie, Pichu feels something he hadn't felt since losing his mother: happiness. It's a different kind of happiness, born from friendship and the comfort of not being alone. That evening, as the sky turns soft orange and pink with sunset, Pichu and Caterpie find a safe nook among the roots of a great willow to camp for the night. Caterpie curls up close to Pichu, and he wraps his tail around her protectively. The day has been a good one, and both small Pokémon are tired from their adventures. Pichu gazes at his friend as Caterpie's eyes slowly close, and he feels a warm glow of gratitude fill his tiny body. He thinks of how kind fate was to guide him to this little companion in his time of need. As darkness falls and the first stars peek out, Pichu's cheeks crackle, not with fear this time, but with contentment. Suddenly, that warm glow inside him intensifies. Pichu's body begins to shine, faintly at first and then brighter, with a pearly golden light. His awareness blurs with surprise and a tinge of excitement as he realizes something extraordinary is happening. Caterpie wakes and blinks her big eyes in astonishment at the radiance enveloping her friend. In a gentle flash, the tiny Pichu's form grows a little larger and changes shape within the cocoon of light. The glow then fades, revealing a Pikachu where Pichu had been moments before. Pikachu blinks in wonder, looking down at his slightly bigger paws and the lightning bolt-shaped tail that now swishes behind him. He has evolved, a sign of his growing strength and the happiness he found in his friendship with Caterpie. Overjoyed, Caterpie chirrups and nuzzles her newly evolved friend. Pikachu lets out a cheerful, richer "Pika!" and gently headbutts Caterpie affectionately. Under the twilight sky, the two friends quietly celebrate this milestone, their bond stronger than ever. The night finds them curled up together once more, Pikachu's vibrant yellow fur keeping them both warm as they drift into a peaceful sleep. The next few days find Pikachu and Caterpie wandering together deeper into the forest. The bond between them is unshakable. Caterpie often rides happily on Pikachu's back as he trots through the underbrush, and at night she curls up by his side for warmth. They encounter other friendly Pokémon during their travels, a Jigglypuff singing softly on a stump at twilight, a pair of young Nidoran playing tag in a meadow. Each meeting reinforces Pikachu's sense that the wild is filled with potential friends, not just threats. However, not all is peaceful. A shadow has been creeping into this corner of Viridian Forest. Pokémon have been disappearing lately, and an uneasy quiet has taken hold in some groves. Pikachu notices the silence one afternoon. Fewer bird songs, an absence of the scurrying sounds that usually signify small Pokémon foraging. His instincts tell him something is wrong. Caterpie tugs at Pikachu's fur and points her antennae toward a swath of bushes ahead. Through the foliage, they spot a flash of movement, something not shaped like any Pokémon. Pikachu lowers himself and crawls forward silently for a better look, motioning for Caterpie to stay hidden. Peering out from behind a tree trunk, Pikachu's heart skips a beat at the scene before them. In a small clearing up ahead, a crude metal cage has been set up, and inside it cower two frightened Pokémon, a Pikachu and a tiny Pichu huddled together. The adult Pikachu's fur is ruffled and dirty, and the little Pichu buries its face against its parent in fear. Standing over the cage are two tall figures unlike any creatures of the forest. Two sinister humans in matching white uniforms loom in the clearing, a bold red R emblazoned on their chests. They sneer at the captured Pokémon, seemingly pleased with their catch. These are members of Team Rocket, a duo known for stealing rare and valuable Pokémon from the wild. One is a woman with long, vivid red hair, the other, a man with short blue hair. By their sides slink a Meowth with a crafty grin and an Ekans coiled, ready to strike at any escaping prey. The red-haired woman laughs lightly, prodding the cage with her boot. "Boss will be happy with a Pikachu and a baby, 2 for the price of 1, she says with chilling sweetness. The blue-haired man adjusts his gloves and smirks. "Ha! If one Pikachu can power a whole town, imagine what 2 can do once we train him up." Their Meowth chatters in agreement, while Ekans hisses and rattles the leaves. From their hiding spot, Pikachu and Caterpie exchange a horrified glance. The sight of that caged Pikachu and her trembling child strikes Pikachu right in the heart. It's as if he's seeing what might have become of him and his own mother had fate been crueler. A steely determination hardens in Pikachu's eyes. He will not let this injustice continue. With a quiet whisper of a plan to Caterpie, Pikachu creeps around to the far side of the clearing under cover of the bushes. Caterpie skitters off in the opposite direction, disappearing into the foliage. Unaware of the rescuers closing in, the Team Rocket duo busy themselves bragging about promotions and riches. The captive Pikachu inside the cage lets out a worried squeak as Meowth teasingly pokes a paw through the bars. Suddenly, a glob of sticky silk shoots out from the shadows and splatters across Ekans' eyes, sealing them shut. It's Caterpie, springing the first phase of their rescue plan with her string shot attack. "Ekans! What the?" the female grunt exclaims as her snake Pokémon thrashes in confusion. At that exact moment, Pikachu leaps from the undergrowth on the opposite side. He lands squarely between the caged Pokémon and the astonished humans, cheeks crackling with electric power. "What's this? Another Pikachu?" The male grunt sputters in surprise. Pikachu doesn't give them a moment to recover. With a loud, defiant, "Pikachu!" he unleashes a burst of electricity that illuminates the clearing in a blinding flash. The thunderbolt strikes true, coursing through the metal cage and startling Meowth away while also zapping the cage's lock into a smoking ruin. The door of the cage swings open. "Look out!" Meowth yowls, diving for cover as sparks fly. The captive Pikachu wastes no time. She nudges her Pichu gently and then bolts out of the cage, the baby in tow. They scramble toward the trees just as Ekans finally clears the silk from its eyes. Enraged, the snake lunges blindly at where Pikachu stood, but Pikachu is already on the move. He dashes nimbly aside, leading Ekans toward a tangle of roots. The serpent gives chase, only to entrap itself further in the undergrowth coated with Caterpie's sticky webbing. Team Rocket's plans are rapidly falling apart. "You little pest!" the woman snarls and orders Meowth. "Grab that Pikachu. We can't let it ruin everything." The Meowth springs toward Pikachu, claws outstretched. Before Meowth can reach him, Pikachu focuses all his newfound strength. With a swift leap and a flick of his tail, he executes a quick iron tail strike, a move he recalls his mother using once, on a low-hanging branch above. The branch cracks and falls directly onto Meowth, tangling the cat Pokémon and buying Pikachu a crucial moment. The blue-haired man lunges forward with a net, but Pikachu darts away in a flash, rejoining Caterpie at the edge of the clearing. Knowing they've freed the captives, the two friends are ready to retreat to safety. Pikachu gives a loud whistle-like call, a signal to the mother Pikachu that it's safe to flee. In the thicket, the mother Pikachu's eyes meet Pikachu's for one grateful instant. She bows her head slightly in thanks, tears of relief in her eyes, before she and her little Pichu disappear into the dense foliage, free. Furious and frazzled, the Team Rocket duo finds their prize gone, and their ambush foiled by a wild Pikachu and a tiny Caterpie. "This isn't over!" the man shouts, trying to disentangle the net from a bush. The woman recalls the battered Ekans and huffs, "Just you wait, you electric rat! Team Rocket will be back for you!" Pikachu answers with a crackle of his cheeks, standing protectively in front of Caterpie, ready for any retaliation. But the pair of thieves have had enough for one day. With their Meowth limping at their heels, they beat a retreat through the trees, bickering angrily with each other as they vanish deeper into the forest to avoid further shocks. In the sudden quiet that follows, Pikachu finally exhales the breath he'd been holding. The adrenaline ebbs, leaving his heart pounding and legs a bit shaky. Caterpie rushes to his side, her eyes wide with both awe and concern. Pikachu kneels down and gently hugs his brave little friend, grateful for her quick thinking and courage. Together they approach the now empty cage. It stands dented and smoking, a testament to their successful rescue. Pikachu can still smell the singed metal and the faint trace of fear that had permeated the air. He hopes the mother Pikachu and her Pichu have made it far away by now, back to wherever in the forest they call home. As he ponders this, Pikachu feels a soft touch, Caterpie nuzzling against him, a proud smile in her eyes. They did something truly good today. That evening, Pikachu and Caterpie leave the clearing far behind, wary that the humans might return with reinforcements. They travel until they find a secluded grove by a trickling creek, hidden by tall ferns and ancient trees wrapped in vines. Here, the forest feels like it can breathe freely again, undisturbed. As the sun sets in a blaze of red and purple, the two heroes settle down to rest. Pikachu sits for a while on a mossy rock, watching fireflies flicker over the creek and reflecting on the day's events. He thinks of the fear he saw in that caged Pikachu's face, and the relief when she was reunited with her child. It fills him with both sorrow and hope. Sorrow that such cruelty exists, but hope because he was able to stop it, at least this time. Caterpie curls up next to him, already dozing off from the exhaustion of their daring escape. Pikachu gently drapes a leaf over her like a tiny blanket. Before closing his own eyes, Pikachu gazes up through the breaks in the canopy. Beyond the silhouette of leaves, the first stars are twinkling. He wonders if his mother might be under the same sky tonight, and whether she is safe. Helping that Pikachu family escape felt like a small way of honoring what his mother taught him, to be brave and protect those in need. With that comforting thought, Pikachu lies down and wraps his tail around Caterpie and himself. The night sounds of the forest gradually resume their normal cadence, a sign that, for now, peace has been restored. Surrounded by the familiar chorus of crickets and the gentle babbling of the creek, Pikachu drifts to sleep. He knows that though danger came to the forest today, their courage and kindness prevailed, and tomorrow will dawn safer for all his forest friends. Time flows gently in Viridian Forest as summer ripens and slowly gives way to autumn. Weeks pass in peace for Pikachu and Caterpie. In the daylight hours, they roam under a canopy now streaked with gold and crimson, as the leaves begin to turn with the changing season. The oppressive heat of summer cools into mild, pleasant days. Together they savor the forest's bounty, gathering ripe apricorns and berries that have swollen sweet from the summer sun. Often they return to their favorite pond, now surrounded by tufts of white cottonweed that drift on the breeze like tiny clouds. Pikachu spends these calm days teaching Caterpie little tricks to stay safe, how to listen for the warning caws of Spearow, or how to find hiding spots among tree roots. In turn, Caterpie, with her keen bug instincts, shows Pikachu which leaves are best to soothe a scrape and how dew collected in morning flower petals can quench thirst when streams run low. The bond between them deepens, rooted in mutual care and the quiet rhythms of the forest. As the first chill whispers of autumn nights arrive, Pikachu notices Caterpie starting to change. She has grown plump, and her bright green hue dulls slightly, signs that she's preparing for her next stage of life. One crisp afternoon, Caterpie becomes unusually still and contemplative, gazing up at a sturdy, low-hanging branch of an oak. Pikachu watches curiously as she climbs laboriously up the trunk and attaches herself to the underside of that branch. With a final affectionate look at her dear friend below, Caterpie begins to spin silky threads around her body. Pikachu's chest tightens with emotion as he realizes what is happening. Caterpie is entering her cocoon stage as a metapod. He scrambles up the trunk to be closer, worrying for his friend, even though he knows this is natural. Caterpie's eyes close as her form hardens beneath a layer of shiny chrysalis. In a matter of hours, the playful green caterpillar is encased within a leaf-like metapod, hanging silently from the branch. Over the next several days, Pikachu rarely strays far from the metapod. He curls up on the branch next to her at night, keeping watch under the harvest moon. In the mornings, he often greets her with a gentle pat on the cocoon's shell and words of encouragement, not sure if she can hear him inside. "Pika, I'm here." The forest carries on its business around them. Flocks of Pidgey migrate overhead, and groups of Oddish waddle by, their leaves turning brown at the edges as they prepare to burrow for winter. Pikachu endures cold showers of rain and the scattering of acorns knocked loose by busy Spearow, all while steadfastly guarding his dearest friend in her vulnerable state. Sometimes, he catches himself feeling lonely, missing the soft chatter of Caterpie at his side. But he stays strong for her sake, knowing that patience and love are the best gifts he can offer now. One cool morning, as sunlight filters through trees now almost half bare, Pikachu is awakened by a faint, shuddering movement on the branch. The metapod is glowing with a pale white light and gently rocking. Pikachu's heart leaps. The time has come. He watches with breathless anticipation as cracks begin to appear in the hard shell of the cocoon. A tiny face pushes through, followed by delicate, damp wings that catch the morning light in a prism of colors. Caterpie has transformed into a Butterfree. The fully formed butterfly Pokémon rests a moment, clinging to the now empty shell as her new wings dry and strengthen. Then, with a small flutter, she lifts off into the air. Pikachu scampers down to the ground, eyes shining with pride and joy as Butterfree circles above him in her first tentative flight. She dips low and flutters around Pikachu, tickling him with the gentle fanning of her purple wings. "Free!" she cries happily, and Pikachu laughs, reaching up to touch her tiny feet in greeting. It's a moment of pure wonder. His dear friend has emerged more beautiful and radiant than ever. For a time, Pikachu and Butterfree continue their journey together, the Butterfree often alighting on Pikachu's shoulder or swooping ahead through sunlit glades. Her perspective from the air opens Pikachu's eyes to new wonders. She shows him hidden clearings filled with late-blooming flowers and leads him to trees laden with the last golden berries of the season that only a flying Pokémon could spot from above. In the evenings, Butterfree uses her powdery wings to scatter spores that glow faintly, creating a soothing light show as Pikachu claps appreciatively below. They are happy, though both know in the back of their minds that another change is on the horizon. As autumn deepens, a subtle restlessness grows in Butterfree. One twilight, Under a sky streaked with sunset fire, the two friends pause on a hill overlooking a wide valley. In the distance, specks of white and purple drift toward the horizon, a flock of wild butterfree on their seasonal migration, gathering to find mates and new homes before winter. Butterfree watches intently, her wings quivering with longing. Pikachu feels a pang in his heart. He has always known this day would come, when his friend would hear the call of her own kind. Swallowing the lump in his throat, Pikachu looks up at Butterfree with a brave smile and nods softly. He will not hold her back from where she is meant to go. Butterfree lands beside Pikachu, her big red eyes watery. They nuzzle each other gently, a silent goodbye between dear friends. Pikachu's mind floods with memories, the scared little Caterpie he met by the berry bushes, their days of play, the perils they overcame, and the quiet nights under the stars. Butterfree chitters softly, as if promising she'll never forget those times either. Pikachu blinks back tears and gives an encouraging "Pika Pika," urging her to follow her heart. With a final affectionate brush of her tiny feet against Pikachu's cheek, Butterfree flaps her wings and rises into the air. She hesitates only a second, looking back one last time at Pikachu, her first friend, her savior, and then she soars upward to join the Butterfree flock dancing across the amber sky. Pikachu watches until Butterfree's silhouette merges with the dozens of others flitting against the clouds, until they all vanish beyond the tree line. Dusk has settled, and the hill feels suddenly empty. Pikachu sits there quietly as the first stars appear, allowing himself to feel the loneliness of parting. A gentle breeze sweeps through the grass, as if to console him, carrying a single, sparkling Butterfree scale that flutters down and lands on Pikachu's paw. He holds the tiny iridescent scale and smiles through his tears, taking it as a token of his friend's goodbye. Though his heart aches, he also feels a swelling pride and gratitude. Butterfree is free, following her dreams, just as it should be. In the days that follow, Pikachu adjusts to traveling solo once more. The forest is moving into late autumn. Nights grow longer and cooler, and the trees gradually shed their colorful attire. Pikachu spends more time foraging, instinctively stocking up on food as many Pokémon do when sensing winter's approach. At times, he returns to places he and Butterfree loved, the pond now edged with frost in the mornings, or the oak branch that still holds the tattered remains of her cocoon. He sits there and reflects, feeling her presence in the rustling of the leaves. She may be far away now, but Pikachu knows their friendship has left an indelible mark on his soul. As he watches a line of Diglett burrow their way through fallen leaves in preparation for winter, he realizes something profound. Saying goodbye to someone you love is hard, but it can also be beautiful, because it means you've shared something worth missing. With that wisdom warming his heart, Pikachu resolves to carry on. He gazes toward the distant forest canopy where the Butterfree disappeared and makes a quiet promise that he'll be okay. The season of change has taught him about letting go and finding strength within. And as the final leaves fall around him, carpeting the forest floor in gold and brown, Pikachu feels ready to face the coming winter and whatever lies beyond with hope. Winter descends on Viridian Forest quietly, like a white hush. Without Butterfree's cheerful presence or Caterpie's warm companionship, Pikachu faces the cold season on his own. The forest that was recently teeming with color and life has grown still. Snow falls softly in the evenings, blanketing the mossy ground and muffling the sound of Pikachu's footsteps as he pads beneath skeletal branches. Many of the forest's inhabitants have gone into hibernation or migrated to warmer climates. The chirps and cries that once kept Pikachu company are now few and far between. Yet, he endures. Each morning, Pikachu ventures out to find what food remains, digging up cached berries he and Caterpie hid under rocks or scraping away snow to uncover frozen mushrooms. It's a sparse diet, but he manages to fill his belly enough to survive. Occasionally, he encounters other creatures enduring the winter, a kubone gathering sticks for a small fire, or a cluster of oddish burying themselves under the insulating leaf litter. They acknowledge each other with quiet nods, a shared camaraderie among those who brave the frost. But Pikachu largely keeps to himself. The days are short and often gray. Pikachu spends long nights sheltered in a snug burrow he discovered on a hillside, likely dug long ago by a diglet or a furret. Lined with dry grass and fallen leaves, it smells faintly of its past resident. Here, out of the biting wind, Pikachu curls up tight, wrapping his tail around his body to conserve warmth. Sometimes he finds himself trembling, not just from the cold, but from the ache of loneliness. In the silence of those winter nights, memories echo louder: the laughter of Caterpie, the gentle touch of his mother, the glow of Butterfree's wings. Pikachu squeezes his eyes shut and reminds himself that he's come so far since those early days. He has faced dangers and helped others. He has grown strong. Loneliness comes and goes like the passing clouds, but he holds on to hope like a small flame within, keeping it alive through the darkest hours. Despite the hardships, winter in the forest has its own kind of magic. On some clear nights, the sky is a river of stars, more than Pikachu ever knew existed. One midnight, he climbs out of his burrow to find the world transformed into a crystalline wonderland. Every branch and pine needle coated in silvery ice that glints under the full moon. Pikachu steps carefully onto the frozen surface of the pond, which now lies under a sheet of ice so clear he can see sleeping fish below. With each cautious step, the ice sings out in high, ringing tones. He looks up at the sky and beholds a breathtaking sight, a shimmering curtain of lights, green and purple auroras, dancing across the heavens. Pikachu's breath billows in front of him as he gasps at the spectacle. For a moment, he forgets the cold entirely, entranced by the celestial display. In that quiet moment, he senses the vastness of the world and his small yet precious place within it. On another night, as snowflakes drift lazily down, Pikachu spots a mysterious glow weaving through the treetops. He follows it with his eyes to see a majestic blue bird Pokémon, an Articuno, gliding silently above, its great wings leaving sparkling frost in the air. The legendary creature's presence is fleeting but awe-inspiring, and Pikachu feels lucky to have witnessed it. These wonders of winter fill him with a gentle peace. Even without anyone beside him, he realizes the forest itself is keeping him company. The stars, the trees, and the occasional kindred soul he meets in passing. As the weeks go by, Pikachu grows leaner, but also tougher. He learns to crack open frozen nuts with well-placed strikes of his tail, and to find water by melting snow with small, controlled electric sparks. To stay fit and pass the time, he sometimes practices his thunderbolt alone in a clearing, lighting up the dim afternoon with brief flashes of brilliance. In those moments, he imagines Butterfree watching from afar, or Caterpie cheering him on, and he pushes himself to become ever stronger and swifter. The determination keeps him from dwelling too long in sorrow. He's training not just for himself, but for the friends who believed in him and for the promise of future companions he has yet to meet. Eventually, the tight grip of winter begins to loosen. The snowfalls become less frequent, and the air carries a hint of softness that speaks of coming rain instead of ice. One morning, Pikachu emerges from his burrow to the sound he's been longing to hear, the tentative chirp of a Pidgey carried on a gentle breeze. He lifts his nose and detects a change, the scent of damp earth and budding twigs. Tiny green shoots poke through the melting snow, and patches of hardy grass reappear like old friends. The forest stirs awake around him. A Buniri thumps its foot near its burrow to shake off winter's sleep, and far in the distance, Pikachu can make out the faint chorus of Poliwag singing by a rejuvenated stream. A new energy fills the air. Pikachu's heart swells as he stands amid the thawing grove. He has survived the long winter through resilience and hope, and now the world is being reborn in front of his eyes. In the soft sunlight of early spring, Pikachu closes his eyes and silently thanks the forest for sustaining him through its darkest season. He feels a stirring within, an instinct, a calling that has been growing since the day he watched Butterfree join her kind. It is now unmistakable, the desire for companionship, for family, for others like himself. He's seen proof with his own eyes that he is not the only Pikachu in these woods. Somewhere out there, perhaps not too far away, are Pokémon of his own kind living free. With the promise of spring guiding him, Pikachu knows it's time to seek them out. Opening his eyes, he looks toward the brightening horizon, determination and hope shining within them. With a final glance at the burrow that sheltered him, a silent thank you and farewell, Pikachu sets off through the dripping trees. His next journey is about to begin, a journey to find the place and the family where he truly belongs. True to his resolve, Pikachu traverses the reawakening forest with a newfound sense of purpose. He moves northward, deeper into parts of Viridian Forest he has never seen before, guided by instinct and faint clues left in the environment. Each day, the trees grow denser and the undergrowth thicker, as if guarding hidden secrets. Pikachu is undeterred. He remembers the Pikachu mother and Pichu he saved, and the hope in their eyes when they escaped. Somewhere, not too far, they must have a home. At times he pauses in a sunlit clearing and calls out with a clear, ringing "Pika," listening as his voice echoes among the trees. Once, he swears he hears a distant reply, a short, sharp cry at the edge of hearing. It makes his heart leap, and he hastens in that direction. As he journeys on, Pikachu becomes a keen tracker. On the muddy bank of a stream, he spots paw prints that look very much like his own, only smaller, perhaps left by a Pichu or a young Pikachu. They are recent, not yet washed away by rainfall. Electrified with excitement, Pikachu follows the trail. It leads him through a grove of towering cedars and into a meadow speckled with wildflowers. Here, he finds more signs. A partly eaten berry that bears small tooth marks, and nearby, a charred spot on an old log, the kind that might be caused by tiny bursts of electricity. Pikachu's pulse quickens. These clues are like whispers telling him he's on the right path. On the third day of his search, around mid-morning, Pikachu climbs a gentle slope blanketed in clover. His fur is brushed by a warm breeze carrying an unmistakable scent, the slight tang of ozone, the kind produced when electric Pokémon discharge energy. He isn't imagining it this time. The smell is strong and close. Pikachu creeps up to the ridgeline and peers over. On the other side lies a secluded hollow, a natural clearing encircled by fern-covered boulders and ancient trees. What he sees there brings tears of joy to his eyes. A group of Pikachu, more of his kind than he's ever seen in one place, and even a couple of tiny Pichu, all gathered in a loose circle in the clearing. For a moment, Pikachu simply watches, overwhelmed. There are perhaps a dozen of them. Some Pikachu are foraging among patches of clover, while two are playfully chasing each other, darting between the ferns. One Pikachu lies lazily stretched on a flat rock, sunning itself, and near the center of the glade, an older Raichu with scarred ears appears to be observing the group like a gentle guardian. Pikachu's heart pounds. This is the family he has yearned for, a community of his own species, living freely together. It's a beautiful sight, and Pikachu feels both exhilarated and suddenly shy. After all his adventures, the brave little Pikachu finds himself trembling at the prospect of meeting his kin. What if they don't accept him? What if he's intruding? Before Pikachu can second-guess further, a shrill cry breaks the calm. One of the Pichu has strayed to the edge of the clearing, chasing a tumbling berry, and now that baby has lost its footing near a steep slope at the clearing's boundary. With a tiny squeal, the Pichu tumbles forward and begins sliding down the bank toward a thicket of thorns. In an instant, the Pikachu group is alert. The mother of the Pichu dashes after her child, and others stand up with alarm. But Pikachu reacts faster than thought. He races down from the ridge, a yellow blur, and intercepts the tumbling Pichu just before it hits the brambles. Using his body, Pikachu cushions the little one's fall, skidding to a stop amid a flurry of leaves. The Pichu is safe, cradled against Pikachu's belly, eyes wide at the sudden turn of events. A stunned silence falls over the clearing. The Pikachu mother rushes over, and Pikachu gently places the shaken Pichu back into her arms. She checks her baby for injuries, then looks up at Pikachu with immense relief and gratitude. In that moment, recognition sparks in her eyes. This is the very Pikachu who freed them from the cage some time ago. With a joyful cry, she steps forward and nuzzles Pikachu's cheek affectionately, her tail swishing with gratitude. Pikachu feels warmth radiating from the gesture. Any fear of rejection melts away instantly. The other wild Pikachu and Pichu gather around, chattering in amazement. A few of the braver ones come up and sniff curiously at Pikachu, sensing his scent and the sparks still flickering around his cheeks from the adrenaline. The Raichu waddles closer with a kindly smile and places a paw on Pikachu's shoulder as if to welcome him home. Pikachu's eyes well with tears that he doesn't bother hiding. He greets them with soft, joyful chirps, letting out the tension of his long journey in a stream of relieved, laughter-like squeaks. The circle of Pikachu widens to include him among them, and just like that, Pikachu is no longer an outsider. One of the young Pikachu bounds up excitedly and nudges a small pile of berries toward their new friend, an offering of friendship. Another playfully taps Pikachu's tail with his own, sending a tiny static shock, a mischievous hello. Pikachu grins and returns a gentle spark. Soon, the whole group is animated and buzzing, quite literally, with excitement at the arrival of a newcomer. Under the approving gaze of the Raichu elder, the wild Pikachu clan invites Pikachu to join in their midday meal. They lead him to the sunny rock at the clearing's center, where everyone takes turns sharing from the stash of sweet berries and nuts gathered earlier that morning. As Pikachu munches on a juicy oranberry surrounded by chatter and giggles that sound just like his own, he feels an overwhelming sense of belonging. These Pokémon speak the same subtle language of crackles and chirps, understand the same love of thunderstorms and forest fruits. A couple of the Pichu climb onto Pikachu curiously, one even riding on his back as he sits, and he doesn't mind at all. In fact, he lets out a contented purr, something he hasn't done since he was a tiny Pichu snuggled against his mother. For the first time in a long while, Pikachu is enveloped in the warmth of community. And to think, this all happened without a single Pokeball or human trainer. It was the pull of nature and his own courage that led him here. That evening, the clan decides to throw a little informal celebration for their new member, and for the safe recovery of the adventurous Pichu. As twilight falls, the clearing comes alive with flickering lights. The Pikachu gather in a circle under the emerging stars. At a nod from the Raichu elder, they begin to perform a communal display that Pikachu has never seen before. Each Pikachu and Raichu gently touches tails or paws, forming a ring, and together they release slow, rhythmic pulses of electricity that arc from one to another. The effect is enchanting, a halo of soft light crackling around them, illuminating their smiling faces in the gloom. The Pichu scamper in and out of the ring of light, squealing with delight at the harmless static tickling their fur. Pikachu stands between two new friends and joins in, sending out his own controlled sparks in time with the others. He feels the electricity of his companions flowing through him and his through them, a shared energy symbolizing trust and unity. The air hums with a gentle power and Pikachu's heart swells. In this moment, He truly feels the embrace of family. Under the gentle golden light of late afternoon, Pikachu lounges atop a soft bed of moss, surrounded by those he now calls family. It has been some time since he joined the wild Pikachu clan, and every day feels like a gift. No longer does he wake up wondering where he belongs. He spends his mornings playing with the energetic Pichu or helping the others gather food. At midday, they often nap in a cuddle pile beneath a sunny spot, a tangle of yellow tails and warm bodies soaking in the light. Pikachu loves these moments when he lies amidst his kin, listening to the rhythmic breathing of dozens of little hearts. The loneliness that once echoed through his days has been replaced by the simple comfort of togetherness. In the evenings, as the sky becomes a canvas of peach and pink, Pikachu sometimes climbs onto a flat boulder at the edge of the clearing to watch the sunset. But now he is never alone in doing so. A couple of his new friends usually scamper up beside him, and together they gaze at the sinking sun. If the night is clear afterward, they'll remain there, pointing out constellations with tiny sparks and sharing quiet Pika remarks that need no translation. Pikachu often finds himself thinking back on his journey during these peaceful times. He remembers the frightened little Pichu he once was, cradled by his mother in a faraway hollow. He thinks of Caterpie who became Butterfree, of the harsh storm and cold winter, of the Pokémon he helped, and those who helped him in turn. Every step, every challenge and friendship led him here. Sometimes, a bittersweet feeling touches Pikachu's heart as he reminisces. He still misses those who meant so much to him, his mother's gentle face, Butterfree's bright wings, even Caterpie's tiny cheerful chirp. But he senses that somehow they know he is safe and happy. In the rustle of leaves or the brush of a warm breeze, he imagines their blessings. Surrounded by his clan, Pikachu will tilt his head up toward the sky and feel deep gratitude, not only for those memories, but for the present moment which is so full of life and love. He carries all of them in his heart, past friends and new family alike. As the first stars twinkle overhead and the younger Pichu yawn drowsily, the Pikachu clan settles down for the night. Tonight, Pikachu chooses a spot beneath the broad leaves of a sycamore where a few others are already curled up. A particularly small Pichu totters over and nuzzles against Pikachu's side, claiming a cozy spot in his warm fur. Pikachu chuckles softly and wraps his lightning bolt tail around the little one. Gradually, the chatter in the clearing hushes. In the darkness, dozens of yellow tails and ears poke out from comfortable nests made of grass and dried leaves. Pikachu listens to the chorus of soft snores and sighs around him and feels an overwhelming sense of peace. Before he closes his eyes, Pikachu gazes one last time at the moonlit treetops and the infinite stars beyond. There was a time when those stars found him lost and yearning, sleeping alone on a wet forest floor. Now they find him in a place of warmth, ringed by friends and family who would spark to life at his side if ever danger lurked again. In this path of his life, Pikachu has never known the inside of a Pokeball nor the training of a human hand. He is instead a creature of the wild through and through, wise, resilient, and free. His journey taught him the ways of the forest, the pain of loss, the joy of friendship, and the strength within himself. As dawn approaches, a gentle breeze ruffles through the clearing, carrying the fresh scent of morning dew. One by one, the Pikachu stir, including our Pikachu. He rises from his resting spot, careful not to wake the still snoozing Pichu nestled at his side. The first rays of sunlight peek over the horizon, casting a soft glow on the faces of his sleeping companions. Pikachu steps away for a moment, walking to the edge of the clearing where the forest opens up to a view of distant rolling hills. The sunrise paints the sky in hues of lavender and rose. He breathes in deep, his cheeks tingling with contentment. This is home. Not a single regret haunts him as he greets the new day, only optimism for the future and a sense of wholeness he once only dreamed of. In the gentle light of that sunrise, Pikachu's eyes shine. He knows that countless adventures still await him in this forest he calls his own. There will be more seasons of change, more friends to meet, perhaps even a mate and little Pichu of his own someday. But whatever comes, he will face it with the courage, kindness, and wisdom he has gathered on his journey. After all, Pikachu has learned that a life of freedom in the wild, surrounded by those he loves, is a life full of meaning. And so, as the forest awakens and the voices of his clan call out to him with cheerful morning chirps, Pikachu bounds back to them with a bright smile, ready to embrace the day and all the days to come in this beautiful world he can finally call home.